Good morning. Happy Monday. So for today's lesson, we're going to review common rules 1 and 2, but then you are actually going to learn about commons rule 3 and 4. So as I go, you're going to need to take notes, whether that means you pause me here and there to do this, that's fine, but make sure you are getting the notes that you need. So first thing today, what you need to do is, as always, on every Monday, is send me your filled in grade sheet for your grade check. This should be week 1 on quarter 3's grade check. If you don't have a grade check sheet, just fill it out on a piece of paper and send that my way. Take a picture of it, email it to me. The next thing you're going to do is, if you look on Planbook, it says watch the lesson video, which is right now posting it for you, but then review common rules 3 and 4. So I'm going to go through those right here. So first of all, let's go through rule 1 and what it was. So you had this last Thursday. So rule 1 had everything to do with 2 independent clauses being put together using a coordinating conjunction. You guys call a lot of these, in order to remember them, fanboys, which is perfectly fine. The only thing I want to ensure that you remember is when you have 2 independent clauses, you're still going to have 2 subjects in your sentence when you combine them. So for this example right here, it says, I went running and I saw a duck. I and I. There's 2 subjects. So when using a coordinating conjunction, you're going to add your comma, add your coordinating conjunction, but keep both subjects. If you don't need a comma. Rule 2 was when you start with a dependent clause and end with an independent clause, there's always a comma separating the 2. However, if you reverse that, you don't need a comma. So their example is, when I went running, comma, I saw a duck. When I went running is the dependent clause, and I saw a duck is the independent clause. So when starting with a dependent and ending with an independent, you need a comma to separate the 2. So now on rules 3 and 4. 3 and 4 are both new to you today. These are the 2 you'll need to add to your notes that you've already taken. So you're going to use commas to offset appositives from the rest of the sentence. And a positive typically will occur in the middle of the sentence, but every once in a while can appear in different spots as well. So it says, use commas to offset appositives from the rest of the sentence. The example is, while running, I saw a mallard, a kind of duck. Okay? So while running, then you're going to stop and say, I saw a mallard. Then you're going to say a kind of duck. The mallard is specified by duck, and duck is specified by mallard. So a kind of duck would be the appositive, because it gives more specific information about the mallard and what it really is. If I said I saw a mallard, some people may not understand, so I have to add the appositive of a kind of duck. Notice there are 2 commas, one before and one after. If the appositive occurs in the middle of the sentence, both sides of the phrase need a comma. Don't let the length of an appositive scare you. As long as the phrase somehow gives more information about the predecessor, you usually need a comma. So for example, a mallard, the kind of duck I saw when I went running, attacked. Okay? So it's still being more specific in the sentence, even though that middle part is way longer than typical. So that's rule 3. Rule 4, pretty easy rule because you've been doing this for a while now. It says, use commas to separate items in a series. Basically, it's just saying, I saw a duck, comma, a magician, comma, and a store when I went running. You need to make sure you have the first comma and the second comma. You're going to have and, typically, or, and or in the list. You don't need a third comma, though, only 2. So I saw a duck, comma, a magician, comma, and a store when I went running. Sometimes if you only have the first comma, it changes the entire meaning of the sentence. So make sure if you're in a list of a series that you have both. So that's rule 4. Pretty simple rules today. Once you finish going through these and taking your notes, okay, your notes should be handwritten, just a reminder. You're going to go to Teams, and you're going to find the assignment Common Rules 3 and 4 worksheet. It will look just like this. Okay, follow the directions. So pretty much you're going to underline the appositive phrase in each sentence. So you have all of these. Okay, you have 10 on the first page about Rule 3. And then you have 10 on the second page about 12 actually, 12 on the second page about Rule 4, where you're splitting up the sentences. You need to make sure to rewrite the sentences. Okay, you're not just adding the commas, you're rewriting them with the correct punctuation. Once you finish this, that's it for today. And then tomorrow we'll be back into your textbooks for a little more Anne Frank and moving on in the Holocaust. Eventually, after we finish both acts of Anne Frank in your textbook and one other reading, we're going to move on to Night, which is a nonfiction text about a Holocaust survivor, and it's his story. This can also count as one of your nonfiction tests if you would like it to, but you have to tell me that if that's the case when the test time comes up. Reminder, your next AR test needs to be a fiction test, and it's due on the 15th, which is Friday. You have to take a picture of your score, email that to me, as well as enter it on your AR test log on the Literature Teams page. So have a good day, guys. Let me know if you have any questions.